Blessings, everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Woman's Womb Wednesday. I am the host, Ramona Riley, aka the Vagina Lady, and owner of Cosmic Woman. Thank you guys so much for coming in and tuning in tonight. Of course, every single Wednesday, I get on here and talk about something to do with the reproductive system, talk about something to do with wellness, and today will be no different. Now, today is questions and answers, so guys, please put in your questions so I can answer them. Remember, it's important for me to know that you guys have an understanding of how your body is working or what your body needs to be the best version of itself. So no question is a dumb question. Just ask the questions away. Okay, welcome everyone who's just coming in. Hi, blissful mommy and daddy JA. Yes, yoga pose go for real. So as usual, before we start Womb Wednesdays, I would like to begin with prayer, and then we're going to get right into it. So you can bow your heads or do what you would usually do for prayer, and I will lead the prayer. Dear God, universe, Mother Earth, we come to you right now so thankful for everything you have created to allow us to be the best versions of ourselves, to show love to ourselves and to show love to others. We ask you now to surround us with positive healing energy. We ask you to allow our minds to be open and clear. We thank you for all you have done and all you continue to do. Amen. Okay. So until the questions start coming in for Womb Wednesdays, questions and answers, I want to talk a little bit about the full moon because that's kind of where we're at right now. We are in a full moon of Sagittarius, and I find that a lot of people, a lot of women don't really have the understanding of the full moon and how powerful that is for us as women. When years and years and years and centuries ago, women would always know their cycle, their period cycle, menstruation cycle, ovulation cycles. They would have an understanding of that based off of the moon, which is why they would call it the moon cycle. Your period would be a moon cycle. 28 days, all of that. Now, for me, I really started to tap into the full moon when I realized that the moon in itself had these energies that I could pull in and I could absorb and I could use to create the magic or the life or the well-being that I wanted. And so in pulling from the moon and using that energy and taking, our crystals, our amethysts, or any other type of stone, and using the full moon to kind of charge it and bring out even more of the positivity out of the stone, I realized that this whole world, when it came to the full moon and the new moon, that we as a collective really haven't even tapped into it. We really haven't. And there's been some ignorance and there hasn't been a lot of awareness. And so I feel like it's part of my job to bring awareness to this, because there are not very many women or very many men or very many anybody that is in tune or have an understanding of the full moon or the new moon and what that represents. Now, what I think is also amazing is when your periods, when you're bleeding, your menstrual cycle, when that can fall on a new moon or a full moon. Okay, they usually say when your period comes during the new moon, you're more ready for fertility. It's the fertility, you're ready for fertility. Whereas when your period runs more with the full moon, it is more about spiritual awakeness and spiritual ascension and being more connected with the spiritual self. There have been times throughout my life where I have my period during the full moon, or I have my period during the new moon, or I have my period none of the moons. And when I look back and think about those times, I really can say yes, I wasn't in tune during that time. That time I was really stressed. I was focusing on things that didn't serve my higher good. And so my period would show that, right, in terms of the placement of it and when it would be. The last day of my period is today, and I'm so glad that I caught the full moon on this last day here. So between the full moon, between the new moon, these are times when you really want to be having your period. And this is not something that you need to mentally or physically control. The more in tune you become is the more that it will naturally happen. Okay, there will be a shift, and then all of a sudden you are literally going with the moon cycle. Going with the moon cycle. Okay? Now, I don't know what just happened here. Hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, so someone's talking about boric acid, and I really want to tap into this. So, of course, in the past 3 years, 4 years, I would say 5 the most, there has been this increased conversation and awareness about the vagina and about vaginal wellness and about the reproductive system, which is a great thing. I'm so excited to know that so many more people are talking about the reproductive system and wanting to make it healthier and happier using natural methods. Now, in the last 5 years, what has happened is there have been trends and different products and different things that have come out, a lot of quick fixes that have come out that have become very popular. And so a lot of people are gravitating towards that. One of it is vaginal steaming, which of course anyone that follows me knows that I am all about vaginal steaming, okay? What you're steaming with and how you're steaming and when you're steaming, now that's different, right? We'd have to go more in depth with that. But on a general basis, vaginal steaming, I will say 100%, I think is a fantastic thing to do. From you have a period up until you don't have a period, you should steam. Even if you don't have a period, you should steam. You feel good, you feel rejuvenated, you can feel your vagina, you feel like a woman, you feel awakened, okay? Really important. But apart from the vaginal steaming, which has become a trend, there have been other things as well that has become trends. And one of those things is this boric acid. Now, boric acid is literally in rat poison, right, ladies and gentlemen? And it's in rat poison to kill the rat. Now, boric acid kills. So what happens is when you have a yeast infection or when you're suffering from bacterial vaginosis, you take these 2 boric acid capsules and you stick it all the way up your vagina as close as you can to your cervix, and you do that for a couple days or something, and then all of a sudden you have healed whichever bacterial vaginosis or yeast infection or pH balance issue. You have now eradicated that, right? Now, not only have you eradicated the smell or the moisture and the wetness that's created, but what you have also done, right, is you've killed the cells in your vagina. So these cells will not be able to regenerate in a positive way. These cells now are just useless, non-existent. We want to make sure that when we're healing our body, no matter what part of our body, our brain, our arm, our nose, the cells that are in the bottom of our feet, wherever those cells, tissues, organs are, we want to make sure that when we are trying to fix a problem with any of those areas, that we are not killing something else. We want to make sure that we're healing it, giving it more life, giving it more oxygen, giving it more vitality. This is what we want to do, okay? We do not want to murder it. No murderation around here. And I find that boric acid does that. It murders the cells in your vagina, okay? Then you find that it worked this time and you now didn't have any kind of symptoms or side effects of bacterial vaginosis or yeast infections. And then a month later, 2 months later, 6 months later, a year later, you realize it comes again. And so you take the boric acid and you insert it again and it goes away. But you find that as time goes on, you have to be using it more and more. So at first, it was a year spread. Then it became every 6 months. Then it became every 3 months. Then it became every month. And you realize to yourself, you wonder to yourself, well, why isn't the boric acid working? It worked so well before. It's not working well because you've killed off all the cells. There's nothing there. And what is left, guess what? It's still very toxic. Any kind of bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, these things stem from the gut. So sticking boric acid / rat poison up your vagina does not in any shape, way, or form heal your body. It does not give your body or your vagina, the cells of your vagina, what it needs. And so I definitely do not recommend that. Another trend that that came out are pearls, right? And I get calls and texts about the pearls and the boric acid every day. The pearls are now made of herbs, kind of like a cheesecloth is gone around it. It has a string that you would pull out when you're ready. You insert it inside your vagina. You leave it inside your vagina for 3 days. Now, my issue with the pearls are as follows. Number one, I'm putting something in my vagina that has a string that hangs down. I'm supposed to wear this thing for 3 days. I pee probably every 2 hours, let's say, for example. Every time I pee up this string. I have to then sit there, get a cloth, get a napkin, get a tissue, get something, and sop up my pee from the string. That's a problem for me, okay? Number two, what are the herbs that are in this thing? What are the herbs that are in this? Because can every woman really take in these herbs in their vagina for 3 days straight? Can every woman do that? And then a lot of times, depending on the symptoms or the condition that you have, the place that you bought it, they will say, okay, you need to use 6 pearls. You use one for 3 days. When that one's finished, you take it out, you put in another one for 3 days, and you do that. At the end of the day, can every woman deal with those herbs? Are those herbs okay? Because when I make what do you call it? Herbal tampons. That's what I call them. When I make herbal tampons, I have to make herbal tampons based off of the woman. I can't make a generic one, right? It's not like vaginal steaming. This thing is going inside your vagina. This is not just steam going up your vagina. This is now the actual plant, the actual leaf, the actual bark, whatever it is, of the herb that is now inside of your vagina, sitting there and marinating in there and loving on up in there for however long. So this is another fad that's out there, okay? We want to make sure that when we were healing the reproductive system in any shape, way, or form, that we are getting to the root of the problem. And usually the root of the problem is the gut. And we start in the gut, we get to the gut, we alkaline the gut. And then you find that a lot of these other issues that we do not have anymore. Okay? So, boric acid, yoni pearls, watch your vaginal steams and what's in them. Watch what you're steaming with, okay? Watch all of these things. It's really important to make sure that when you're giving to yourself and taking the time to show self-love and show self-care, that you're doing it in a healthy manner, that you're doing it in a positive way, okay? Let's move on. Sorry, just looking for the other questions. Don't know why this thing is moving so slow. My question is, what do you recommend that I take when I constantly have fibroids? Did surgery, but they still came back. Okay, so remember guys, fibroids are 2 things you want to look at when you think about fibroids. Number 1, it is a high estrogen condition. So fibroids are a hormonal issue. If you're suffering from a hormonal issue, what does that mean? That means that you have to balance your hormones. That means that you need to take the time and fix certain things in your body. You have to make sure that your gut is healthy. You have to make sure your uterus is healthy. You have to do certain things to make sure that the fibroid cannot grow anymore or cannot grow back. Okay? When you have fibroids, or when you have cysts, or when you have endometriosis, or when you have any of these types of reproductive conditions that you can cut, scrape, remove from the place that they have grown, you always find that they come back. And they're going to come back. And you can't be surprised that they come back, because the environment that created the fibroid, the high estrogen level that created the fibroid, the waste and the toxins in the gut that created the fibroid, the mental and emotional aspect of the woman is still also the same. So the physical things are the same, the mental things, the emotional things. If you cut that fibroid out, it's gonna grow back. The environment that created the fibroid is still there. So that is what we have to look at. That is what you want to now concentrate on. How do I change this fibroid environment? How do I eradicate this from my body? Balancing your hormones. Making sure that you're detoxing. Now, when it comes to fibroids, fibroids can be inside the uterus. Fibroids can be outside the uterus. When they're inside the uterus, we then work more on the uterus, because guess what? This entity, this physical entity, this tumor, benign tumor, is now inside the uterus. So we have to do other things for also the uterus itself. If you have a fibroid that is outside the uterus or closer to the cervix, then you find that it's not necessarily the uterus that we have to work on as much. You always want to work on the uterus, but not as much, because the fibroid is not in there. So it really just depends on where the fibroid or fibroids are. But if you have them, you cut them out, they're always going to come back. Balancing your hormones are important. At Cosmic Woman, one of the basic things that you can do for fibroids is to go on our womb tea. Our womb tea is amazing for the womb, inside and outside. It's also very good for the digestive system, which again, ladies and gentlemen, the digestive system is really important to the reproductive system. We cannot leave it out. And so we have to make sure that that digestive system, the liver, the kidneys, the stomach, the intestines, the spleen, the gallbladder, all of it, we have to make sure that they are at their optimum best, right? So the womb tea really, really helps with that. I also suggest the hormonal tea, and you can mix both of these teas together. The hormonal tea is going to, of course, do what? Balance your freaking hormones. And that's what we want. We want to take that high estrogen level and bring it down. We want to make sure that progesterone is now going a little up and the estrogen is coming down, and they're meeting in a balanced place. We also want to make sure that the male hormone that you might have kicking up in your system, some women that suffer from fibroids also have some high testosterone. Women who suffer from PCOS sometimes have high testosterone, and this is why you will find women having hair on their chin a lot, or in their chest, or around their nipples, or in all of these different manly places. Okay, so the hormonal tea blend really helps to balance out the hormones the way it should be for a woman. So you find that that is going to also help that whole fibroid situation. Another thing that you can do is do castor oil treatments. Now, castor oil treatments, guys, are so easy, right? They're easy, they're cheap. I mean, there is absolutely no reason that you should not be doing a castor oil treatment. Castor oil treatment, you need a heating pad or you need a hot water bottle. You do this treatment on your abdomen. You use cold pressed organic castor oil. Black Jamaican castor oil is not an option, not for this particular treatment. You saturate your entire abdomen with cold pressed castor oil. You then use a special cloth, may it be a muslin cloth or a flat cotton flannel cloth. Now, these cloths cannot be dyed. These cloths cannot be bleached, okay? Because we have to make sure that it is in a natural state so that we are not putting more toxins in our body. So once you saturate your abdomen with this cold press castor oil, you then put the cloth over it. You then get a heating pad or a hot water bottle and you put it over your abdomen. You lie there for an hour. Then you get up, you wipe it off, you clean off as much as you can, remove all of the excess oil, and you chill out. There is not one person on this earth that I know that has done a castor oil treatment and at the end of it did not feel better. Different strokes for different folks in terms of what felt better, but you do feel better. For me, I feel lighter. For me, I feel more relaxed. I feel more zen. I feel more in tune with my body. That is me personally. I do castor oil treatments and I have absolutely no fibroids in my abdomen or reproductive system or any of that. But I do castor oil treatments because it detoxes the reproductive system and digestive system. I do castor oil treatments because it flushes my lymphatic system. I do castor oil treatments because it helps to promote healthy circulation. I do castor oil treatments because they just feel so dang on good. Okay? So when it comes to someone having fibroids, when you do the castor oil treatment, you get all of those benefits to help shrink the fibroids because your hormones are becoming balanced. You're detoxing your body. You're flushing out things that you need to flush out, right? It's a win-win situation. So castor oil treatment, I would suggest, would be fantastic for you as well. You also want to do an internal cleanse, okay? So hit Cosmic Woman up. An internal cleanse would be great. I'm not sure where you're located, but making sure that you cleanse your body, clean your blood, clean your extremely important to do, okay? Other than that, it depends now on the person and the individual, which is why I will always say, listen, if you suffer from fibroids, do a consultation. It allows me to know more about you to then create this treatment plan specifically for you so that you can get the goals that you want. Some women have fibroids and they just want to remove the fibroids because they look like they're pregnant and they're not pregnant and they don't want to be pregnant and they feel like they're pregnant and they want them removed. For others, they want to be pregnant and this fibroid is inside their uterus, like is a baby, but it's not a baby and they can't get pregnant. And so that is an issue, okay? For some, it's because of the heavy bleeding and the heavy clots why they want this fibroid removed out of their body. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the fibroid itself, that tumor, that mass, it's not supposed to be there. You're not born with it. It's there because of your high estrogen level. The fibroid is there because there's an emotional issue or issues. And this is what I need you guys to also have an understanding of. If you suffer from certain things like lack of forgiveness of self or others, if you have been through certain traumas and stresses, if you are sitting in discomfort, and you live this every day, you will find that you will start to develop what they call tumors. And this tumor can be anywhere. It can be in your brain, it can be in your uterus, it can be by your cervix, it can be on the side of your nose. It becomes this tumor. The good thing about fibroids is that this tumor will never really ever become a cancerous tumor, a malignant tumor. And so that's the one good thing about it. Yay! But other than that, it's complete crap. It shouldn't be there. It's not meant to be there. So fixing yourself emotionally, fixing yourself mentally, and then of course, fixing yourself physically, you will find that your fibroid cannot live. It cannot grow. It cannot stay there. It cannot take the blood supply from your body to continue to grow. So those are things that I would recommend for you, goddess. If you have any other questions, just send us a DM. If you want to set up a consultation, you can also send us a DM so we can get that done for you. Let me see what other questions. Pain in upper right side. What could cause that? Okay, so pain in upper right side. So that's kind of vague. So let me just talk a little bit. So when we have pain, okay, in any part of our body, it's telling us that something is off and something is not right. Okay, now it does not necessarily mean that that place right there that we have pain is where the issue is. That is just where it's showing, or that's where it's feeling, but that is not really where the issue is, which is why things like reflexology is really great, because we can tap into different parts of your body without necessarily touching the exact part of your body that needs the healing or needs the fixing, right? So this pain that you could be having, if it's in your reproductive system, near your tubes, underneath your belly button, right above your vagina, let's say like the mound of your vagina, what I would say is, depending on the pain, depending on the type of pain that you're having, we could then break down exactly what it is. There are some women that have a very sharp pain every so often. It's like a sporadic thing. It's not, there is no consistency in, oh, every time I get up or every time I inhale or every time something happens, I get this sharp pain. But they get a sharp pain every so often. And it really feels like, oh my God, somebody took something and stabbed you. But then all of a sudden, after you feel that stab and you're like, oh, then it goes away. That is what I would say is more of like a cyst. When you would have like a cyst on the ovary, okay? You find that you get this stabbing pain. And that's something that I suffered from. When I was in college in Virginia, my first year of college, I suffered a lot from cysts. I had no idea that I had cysts. I didn't understand that this sharp pain that I was getting every time was this cyst that was on my ovary. And I felt that every time when I would lift something, I would feel that pain. And it started one day when I was going to the mailbox to pick up some boxes that my mom had sent from home to college for me. She would always be sending me care packages every so often. And so every week I would go down to the mailbox, the post office of my college, and I would pick it up. And one day I lifted it up, and I felt this huge sharp pain, and I put it down, and I couldn't understand what that was. And that happened again and again. And I remember saying it to my mom, saying like, Mommy, I get this really sharp pain, you know? And she'd be like, Lord, don't bother lift up anything heavy. You can't ask one of your guy friends to help you, and she'd always say that, but I would just still always do it, right? It wasn't until later on in the year that I realized, the year of my freshman year, that I realized that it was actually a cyst. And I had two cysts, and one had erupted inside of me. And I don't think that my body ever really came back until years later after it had erupted. So that was the pain that I was feeling for that. There are other pains as well that you could have, okay? It could feel like a cramp. It could feel like stabbing. It could feel like a continuous throbbing. It really depends on what your pain feels like for me to really be able to tell you, all right, well, you're having the pain because of this. Okay, so I'm gonna need to have a little bit more information. You can send that here, or you can send it in a DM, and then we can answer your questions. Okay. Where am I here now? Yes, it definitely is rat poison, guys. Definitely. Please, please don't use the boric acid. Don't. And I will tell you this. You have boric acid that is food grade, and you have boric acid that is not food grade. And I promise you that the majority of these people that are selling these boric acids, I am sure it is not the food grade version. And even the food grade version, I would not want. I'm just saying, okay? But at least At least, would that be in there? I would hope so. And I really doubt that it is. And you can tell if it's food grade version or not a lot of times based off of the price. Okay? The price. When you can go and buy a vaginal steam and the vaginal steam is $15, look at that. Don't just think to yourself, oh, it's $15, it's cheaper than the other one. Because you might be surprised what is in that. What type of herbs are in it, right? Where is it stored? What is it sold in? Because I know when I get my herbs, they are organic. I know that where they're stored, it's healthy. I know they're not in any plastic. I know that they're not sitting down in heat all day, every day. So it's really important to make sure that what you're putting in your body is coming from somewhere or someone that knows what they're doing. If I have an eye issue, I am not going to ask someone who just sells something at a store what is good for my eye. I am going to go to a specialist. Let the specialist look into my eye socket and tell me what is wrong with my eye or what can I use for my eye. When you are buying these things, because you will realize the majority of people, holistic, right, naturalist, naturopaths, all of these people, if you were to find these people, they do not use these things. They don't. We don't. We use the things to heal our bodies. So when you are looking to heal your reproductive system, when you're looking to get pregnant, when you're looking to do things, don't just buy something that you see advertised. You want to know where that come from. Who made that? What do they know? What do they really know about the vagina? Like really, what do they know? They're selling this boric acid. What is in it? What does this do? Why does it work? How does it work? Can you give me the breakdown? Come on, guys, don't be gullible. You are spending your hard-earned money. They need to sell it to you. That's how it needs to go. And then you make your decision based off of all the information that you have. Okay? I just said yoni pearls. No. It's the same thing. Boric acid. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay? Really, really doesn't. Okay, so someone said nothing should be in our vaginas so long. And I guess they mean in terms of the yoni pearls, putting it in the vagina and leave it in there for 3 days type of thing. Now, I don't know if I can agree 100% with you, but I understand where you're coming from. When it is that you are putting something inside of your vagina, let's say, for example, a yoni egg, okay? I take this yoni egg made of a healing stone or a healing crystal and I insert it inside my vagina. Guess what? I can put it in there and I can leave that in there for days. I can put this egg inside my vagina for however long it wants to stay in there. That does not mean that something is wrong. It's a healing stone. I cleaned it before I inserted it. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you want to make sure that whatever you're putting inside of your vagina, that if you were to leave it in there for a long period of time, that it would be okay. All right? That your vagina would be okay. You never want to put really anything in your vagina that you can't swallow. You don't want to put anything in your vagina that you can't eat. You don't want to put anything in your vagina that if you were to lick it, you would need to go and get some medication or the doctor or the hospital or something. The vagina is so sacred. It's so sensitive. It's so wonderful. It's so beautiful. It's so everything. We have to make sure that we treat it accordingly. We have to make sure that we love on her, nurture her, listen to her. Are most women listening to their vaginas? Do you ever just take your hand and place it over your vagina and just listen to her heartbeat? Do any of you even realize that your vagina has a heartbeat or a beat or a pattern or a rhythm? We are born with this vagina. This vagina is there before we even come out of the womb, yet still we do not connect with the vagina. We do not hold her. We do not touch her. We do not talk to her. We do not embrace her. And then we're surprised when she gets moody. We're surprised when she has anxiety and she's having issues and she's stressed out and she's sweating all the time and she's smelling all the time and she can't get wet, or she's just wetty and leaky all the time. You're not listening to her. She's showing you signs and symptoms. It's like your friend walking around beside you every day and her face is sad and she looks depressed, and you're still walking around with your friend every day like she's smiling but she's depressed. What kind of friend are you? Because if you are a good friend, you'd say, Stephanie, what's going on? Why your face look like that? You know, you've been looking like this for a while now. What's going on? You would be concerned. You would want to communicate with her. You would want to help and reach out if you can. I'm going to need us to do that to our vaginas as well. I'm going to need you to reach out to your vagina. Reach out to that beautiful thing that you have between your legs. That thing that gives you power. That thing that allows you to be able to create life. That thing that men go crazy about and make all kinds of stupid decisions over. Ladies, come on. This thing between our legs is so amazing. The thing between our legs is what makes many men get up every day and go to work. They don't go to work because it necessarily fulfills them to go to work. They go to work because they know they need to make some money, because they know that the pussy ain't free. So they're going to have to pay for it. And so to pay for it, what do you got to do? You got to work some money. Because guess what? Even when you get married, you think the husband is still not buying vagina? It's not a contract like before. Depending on your relationship and the rules and the boundaries that you guys have, it might be a little different. But the reality is, if it's a traditional household, he is still putting out to then get. It's just what happens. So when we who have the vaginas aren't even tapping into our vaginas, don't even understand, right? Because what I realize as well is women want head, right? We want oral sex. We love oral sex. The majority of us love it. The majority of women, that is how they climax. That's how they climb the Himalayas. That's how they have their orgasm, from oral sex. From a man or a woman's face, mouth, tongue, nose, whatever, down by their vagina and stimulating them. That's what happens for most, and they enjoy it. But do you know what? So many women love that, climax from that, think it's amazing, but they don't even know themselves what their own vagina tastes like. You don't know what your vagina tastes like. You're not willing to taste your vagina. You're uncomfortable to take your finger, touch your vagina and suck your finger. Like, you're uncomfortable about that. Like, that's weird. Like, that's gross. How? How is it gross? It's your vagina. It's your fluids. It's yours. If you are turned off by it, then something is wrong. I'm going to need you to fix the issues of why it is that you would not want to taste your own fluids. If it smells bad, if it's, you know, whatever it is, You're going to need to work that out. But knowing what she smells like in different phases of your cycle, because your vagina smells different when you're ovulating. Your vagina smells different before your period. Your vagina smells different after your period. Your vagina smells different after sex. Your vagina smells different in all these different aspects. And you should know based off of the smell what it is, what's going on in your body. Just like your baby. You have a baby and your baby cry. Your baby have 10 different cry. There's a certain cry when the baby hungry. There's a certain cry when the baby pee or doodle up themselves. There's a certain cry when the baby want to get lift up. There's a certain cry when something. It's the same thing with our vaginas. So we have to be aware. We have to listen. We have to just connect. And the more connected you are, you're going to realize that she's not so freaking moody anymore. But she's able to facilitate whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you need. Moving on. Oh, the internet just did something. It says reconnecting. Oopsie. I don't know what just happened. It says reconnecting. So Instagram is reconnecting. I'm not sure what's going on. So I guess I'm just going to continue to talk until they come back. Don't want to hold up. So please, when it comes to your vagina, when it comes to you having a daughter or a granddaughter, these are conversations that we have to have. As I said a couple weeks ago when I did a live, it's the reason why I want to do a period party for my daughter. It's the reason why I want her to understand what is happening in her body. I want her to understand that this is the beginning of femininity. This is your power. You now have your period. You can create. You can have a deeper understanding and knowledge of self because of this period. And during that is when we talk about different things. We talk about the pH. We talk about what happens, the discharge that happens. We talk about sex. Because this whole thing about not talking about sex with our children makes absolutely no sense. Because if we talk about it, then guess what? Then they're going to do it. So if we don't talk about it and we act like it doesn't exist, then they are not going to want to go and have sex. What world are we living in? I know my generation, my friends, my peers, I'm 38. A lot of our parents didn't talk to us about sex, about periods. I didn't get that. And I did not get that because my parents were neglecting me. I didn't get that because they weren't comfortable. They weren't comfortable talking about period. They weren't comfortable talking about sex. But this age, this time, 2021 makes no sense. Because look at the women now who are suffering with all these reproductive issues. We're the ones that didn't get the talk. We didn't get the talk. And now our reproductive systems are all over the place. So it's important for us to have the conversation. It's important for us to be connected to our reproductive system, to our wombs, to our everything. It's time. It is time. It's time. So I just want to talk a little bit about what we have going on coming up. Of course, if anybody has any questions or anything, excuse me, please make sure that you send a message. You can send an email, you can send a WhatsApp to our office number so that we can help with any questions. Okay, remember, Cosmic Woman, yes, we deal with the reproductive system of the woman, the vagina, the hormones, the all of that, but we also deal with the men. Cosmic Womb, man. Okay, so we deal with the man as well. So I just want to remind you guys of that. So this the end of this month here, we're coming to the end of May. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's the 26th already. For June, we definitely have a yoni toning class. And our yoni toning class is basically to tone the vagina muscles, okay? To increase the sexual awakening of the woman. It's also great to strengthen the pelvic floor. And I can't say it enough. When the pelvic floor is not strong, we find that we have uterus prolapse. Everything drops down. Why does that happen? That happens because of stress and strain and pregnancies. That's what happens when the uterus just drops down. Okay, so making sure that the pelvic floor is strong, because remember, the pelvic floor, what does it hold up? It holds up everything. Bladder, uterus, digestive system, all of it. So we have to make sure that the pelvic floor is strong, sturdy. Very, very important. So those three things are the main things that you would get from yoni toning. You want to be able to manipulate your muscles while you have sex. You want to be able to have all different types of orgasms, from penetrational, clitoral, anal, urethral, all of them. All of the ulls. Very, very important. Okay? We also will be having fertility voices. Fertility Voices is a fertility support group, and it's something that I started last year, and I'm really excited about it and where it has reached. A lot of women suffer from reproductive issues, and fertility kind of encompasses and engulfs all of it. It affects the emotional aspect of the woman. It affects the mental aspect. Of course, the physical is affected. It affects her marriage. It affects her way of view of self. It affects self-confidence. It affects so many things. And so during our Fertility Voices support group, we tackle each and every one of those things, making sure that the woman can become whole. Because if she's not whole and her cup isn't overflowing, how is she really going to give to this baby that she's desiring and hoping for? She has to be full in self. She has to be healthy in self, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So Fertility Voices is that place, that safe space, that sacred space that you come and we do healing, mentally, physically, and emotional healing. We do release work, we do heart work, we do forgiveness work, we do all of that. You've had abortions, you've had miscarriages. Listen, you could be 700 and something years old on this earth right now and have had abortions or miscarriages. And you're still walking around with the stress and the trauma. You have to release it. I don't care if you had your abortion or your miscarriage when you were 30 and you're now 60. That whole episode, that whole event is still weighing down on you. So release it. If you want some information on how to release, let me know. You can get a helium balloon and write it. You can write a letter to each baby that you lost from a miscarriage or abortion or whatever it is. We can't walk around every day with these things burdening us and baggage over our shoulder, pan we back every day. That no make no sense. How are we going to be the best versions of ourselves? How are we going to be good wives? How are we going to be good daughters? How are we going to be good sisters, good friends, good career women? We could take over this whole damn place, ladies. But we're just not as healthy as we need to be. We're smart enough, we're strong enough, we're powerful enough, but we're still sick. We're still not tapped in. And so we need to be tapped in. Definitely need to be tapped in, 100%. So your fertility voices is all about making sure that we heal the woman and prepare her for her fertility journey. Okay. Apart from that, of course, every Wednesday we have Womb Wednesday, and we have a different topic every single week. We are bringing in some new things that I'm excited for. Look out for that in June as well. Really, really excited. There are things that I have been setting intentions for, and I'm just seeing them manifest and come to life, and I am so very grateful. So grateful. Also very grateful for my team. Cosmic Woman's team is just a real joy to work with. From the bottom all the way to the top, and I don't even think anybody's at the bottom, because there's no bottom. Everybody has their job and their place, and if everybody does what they need to do, we find that the business just runs so amazingly well. So I thank not just our Jamaican team members, because of course, as we know, the Cosmic Woman is a international business, but from our Jamaican team to also our US team, great work that we are doing together. I'm loving the team effort, the energy, the want, and the need for healing. I have to shout out to my co-director, co-owner, co-everything, Mr. Roy Riley, for really putting in the work and putting in the effort, and especially in the background. Sometimes, you forget that there's this other person back there, or these other entities back there, because you're not seeing them and you're only seeing my beautiful face. Right? But there's so much more that goes on in the background, and he's responsible for so much of it, and I'm really grateful for him for seeing the vision, bringing it to life, and really being consistent to wanting to see the growth, and also to see the healing, and having the same desire and same drive. Sorry guys, I'm like sniffling. And same drive when it comes to healing the world one womb at a time. So I just wanted to shout him out. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in again on this Wednesday. We will be here again next Wednesday. Look out. Of course, if you're not following us on YouTube, please do so. We have so many videos about so many different things, from reproductive to hormonal to sex to infertility to everything else. Check us out. It is Cosmic Woman on YouTube. If you're not following us on Instagram, it is at Cosmic Woman, or also the Vagina Lady. That is also there, so you can also follow us there as well. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the night. It is the full moon, so please, if you have your stones, your crystals, put them out, get them charged. Write your release. I release all of the things that no longer serve me. I release whatever person, place, or thing that doesn't serve me. I release procrastination. I release anger. Whatever you release, write it down on a paper, fold it up, light it. This full moon is a fire sign moon, meaning the element of the sign is fire. So let's use the fire. Okay, let's use the fire and create magic. Thanks again, guys. Love and light to you. Blessings. Bye-bye now.